When I was little, I was fearless. I said exactly what I thought, and I knew it could change things, break things, but the words tumbled out anyway. You know, the older I got, the bigger they grew in my throat, the more force it took to spit those words into being, the more air I needed to choke them up. You know, I used to sit and read at recess back against a stone wall while the other kids played Foursquare. It's how I kept my mouth shut. I focused on the words in front of me and the worlds they opened up. When I was little, I held my face underwater in the bathtub until my nose began to bleed just to see how long I could do it. And my eyes were all scrunched up so I couldn't see the red, didn't come up for air until I heard my mother scream and she jerked my body away and I gasped again. When I was a kid, I was fearless. You know, I've always wondered what it's like to die. At 16, I told a room full of strangers who I was meant to become friends with that I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder when I was 6 years old. And later, one of them thanked me, said it made her feel more comfortable being open. You know, my heart shrinks in shame when I remember how open I used to be. You know, I keep my mouth shut now, till my lips get so dry that the minute I open them to say thank you and goodbye, they begin to bleed. You know, I'm still holding my head underwater. You know, I don't know when to stop. My eyes are squeezed shut and all I see is red. If I hold them closed for long enough, the red will go away, and if the red goes away, I'll be okay again, I'll be safe again, and all the thoughts that pound against my skull will slip down through my nose and come out in blood, and I've always gotten nosebleeds in winter from the dry air, and I manage them just fine now. It's been happening for years. You know, I've learned to stop a nosebleed in the minute with just a hand pressed in the right spot, learn to feel when it's coming. You know, I don't read so much as I used to, but I write a whole lot more. I sit with pen and paper back to a brick wall when no one is around. You know, they say I'm well adjusted because I know how to smile and I know how to gossip and I know how to go to office hours. You know, my characters don't pause before they say what they mean. You know, I only write about myself. You know, I'm rewriting myself. I'm performing it for an audience. They call it catharsis. I call it performance. I call it the truest thing I've ever spoken, hidden behind a microphone and a practiced cadence. You know, some people call me fearless for it. You know, I used to be fearless.